What is up, YouTube? It's Lions Fan Express coming at you with that man-to-man press. And in today's video, I'm going to give you guys my top 5 edge rusher prospects for the 2023 NFL Draft. Watching this class, it's a very talented class. It has a lot of depth. So if you're looking for an edge rusher, you can definitely find one in the first round or even in the mid to late rounds that can definitely contribute and sack the quarterback and do some good things as well. So yeah, I kind of narrowed it down to my top 5, so here we go. At number 5, I have Lucas Van Ness from Iowa. He's 6'5", 269 pounds. I watched his games against Ohio State, Michigan, and Iowa State, and my player comp for him, it's going to sound a little out there, but it's J.J. Watt. Now, I'm not saying he's to the level of a J.J. Watt, but, they have very similar play styles and, body sizes. And just coming out of college definitely reminds me a little bit more of a J.J. Watt type prospect. Not super athletic, but almost kind of overlooked in a way. But he's really, again, a really great prospect that definitely has potential. So, he's a power rusher. He's able to stand his ground. Gets the best of the best. He had a good battle against Paris Johnson Jr., one of the best offensive tackles in this class at Ohio State. He's got long arms, and he's able to use those. He can take on double teams. He can kick inside and play the 3-tech, so he's versatile. And, whether it be, standing up in a 2-point or putting his hand in the dirt. So basically, he can do a 3-4 or a 4-3. He's got, good block shredding ability. He's a strong technical player as well. But there are some, things that he's got to work on, including, he kind of stands too high against the run at times. He's not the greatest athlete, but he does have a great motor. He doesn't really have many pass rush moves as well. That's kind of like, a thing. It's like, especially when you're an edge rusher, you need to be able to have counters and moves and a pass rush plan. And I don't think he's necessarily there yet as a prospect. Again, he's everything you're looking for in an edge. He's versatile. He's a run stopper. He can take on double teams, and he has excellent power rush moves. He's definitely a high floor kind of guy. But he also has kind of a lower ceiling, I feel like, compared to some of the other prospects, just due to his lack of athleticism. And, he can definitely find success in the NFL like J.J. Watt did, but he just isn't an elite player right now. I think he's a late first-round pick, but I wouldn't be surprised, maybe if he doesn't test well at the combine, or people start watching maybe a little bit more tape and falling in love with some other prospects, that he could possibly slip into the second round. And at number 4, I have B.J. Ojulari from LSU. He's 6'3", 250 pounds. I watched his games against Mississippi State, Texas A&M, and Alabama. And my player comp for him is Harold Landry. So B.J. I have on here for, a couple different reasons. I'm really high on him because he's got a great bend around the edge. He uses his hands well, and he's got good leverage. Able to drop back into coverage with ease, athletic. He's just a willing run defender, and he can tackle in space like it's shown on his tape. He can blitz and line up on the edge, or even kind of like, line up in the Mike spot and make it look like he's going to blitz and drop back into coverage. He can do stunts. He can do it all. He's very versatile and almost like a fourth linebacker out on the field. He gets constant pressure and he hits the quarterback. And he can set the edge against outside runs, so he doesn't, break, contain, but he continues to force the runs back inside. Sometimes he struggles with balance and keeping his feet, falls down a couple times. And he also isn't, big enough, I feel like, to play with his hand in the dirt, so he's primarily a scheme-dependent player. I personally like to see him standing up as an edge, but you can definitely use him in numerous capacities. I'm just high on him as a first-round talent, despite, not having great production at LSU, but definitely somebody that I feel like is, a really good prospect that's kind of getting slept on in this class, and definitely look out for him to get his name called in the first round. At number 3, I have Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech. He's 6'6", 275 pounds. I watched his games against NC State, Baylor, Texas, and Kansas State. And then my player comp for him is actually Jadeveon Clowney. And when I actually start giving you guys the deets on him, you can kind of see maybe the similarities. So, he's got versatility. He's able to, line up on the edge and kick inside as well. He's got size. 6'6", 275 pounds is a really good size for an edge, but it's also big. You know, he's big enough and strong enough where he can play inside as well. Super athlete to be able to play inside or out. He's got a combination of power and as a pass rusher, but he's also a really good run stopper as well. He's a good edge player that most likely projects as a 3-4 defensive end. But he needs, kind of needs to develop his pass rush better, because he doesn't really have a pass rush plan. He just kind of tries to use, his strength and his power just to kind of beat guys. So he's definitely raw as a pass rusher. That kind of shows with his stats. He doesn't have like elite stats when it comes to, sacks and pressures, but the potential is there. He's got the tools, and he did have season-ending injury on his foot, so his medicals need to be cleared. And I believe that he's actually not going to be participating in the combine, but he will be doing his pro day, just giving him some extra time to recover. But ultimately, I think he's a top 10 player, and he could be one of the best defensive line players in this draft. At number 2, I got Myles Murphy from Clemson. He's 6'5", 275 pounds. I watched his games against NC State, Florida State, Wake Forest, and North Carolina. And my player comp for him is actually the former number 1 pick from last year, Travon Walker. So Murphy is definitely an intriguing prospect because he possesses the size and the ability to be a strong edge defender. He also has versatility to play edge or kick inside as a 4-tech. And while, this might not be a popular opinion, I think he actually projects better as an interior defensive line, primarily because when it comes to just being an edge rusher, you look at his stats, he's not like, he's not a dominant pass rusher. He averaged about 6 to 7 sacks every season at Clemson, which is solid. I'm not saying that he can't do better in the NFL, but I really don't think he's going to be a 10-plus sack guy in the NFL. Now, here's the thing, though. As an edge rusher, that's kind of just, it's average. But if you kick him inside and play him as an interior defensive lineman primarily, and he's getting you 6 to 7 sacks, and he's being able to run stop because he's a really good run stopper as well, I feel like he's got more upside than to live up to a bigger ceiling if he's playing that position and not the high expectations of, okay, he's an edge rusher, so he needs to get all these sacks. So that's kind of my opinion on that, at least when it comes to projecting him. But again, it kind of depends on what teams and what schemes feel like they can implement him in. Again, he's got good technique, and he impacts the run defense with his large frame and strength. It might be a stretch to say he's a top 5 player in this draft, but he's definitely in the discussion to be a top 10 pick. And then at number 1, before I give you guys that, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know down below who you think the number 1 edge rusher in this class is. And to me, it is Will Anderson Jr. from Alabama. He's 6'4", 243 pounds. I watched his games against Texas, Tennessee, LSU, and Texas A&M. And my player comp for him is actually Khalil Mack. I feel like, they're both really, good sack specialists, but they can also contribute and be an edge defender and stop the run as well. So not a lot to say about Anderson other than, I think he's the best edge defender in this class. He's got a good combination of power and speed as a pass rusher, and he's a stout run defender as well. He's got the production. He even had kind of a little bit more of a down year at Alabama, and he still ended up with 10 sacks. So definitely a guy who can come in and be an alpha on the defense. I feel like he's a little bit on the smaller side, though, when it comes to weight. So basically, if you try to play him as you're almost kind of stuck playing him as a outside linebacker, which I think it's definitely more of his projection anyways in the NFL, because he's even like when it comes to the NFL Combine, he's going to be running with the linebackers. So kind of shows that he's a good athlete and that he definitely impact at a couple different levels on the defense. But ultimately, I think he's definitely a top 5 pick in this class, and he's definitely number 1. Possibly even could be the first overall pick in this year's draft. So with that being said, there's my top 5 edge rushers in this class. I know I have a couple, maybe some guys in there that maybe aren't being looked at as much as some other players are, like BJ Ojulari. Like I said, I'm just really high on him. And also, Lucas Van Ness, still high on him, but not as high as him as maybe some other people are. And I think, again, the top three prospects, when it comes to Will Anderson, Myles Murphy, Tyree Wilson, those are definitely the top three in my opinion. And yeah, so a really good class, and there's even got guys behind them that are definitely impact players that can get to the quarterback and do some really good things as well, like Keon White, Will McDonald, even though I'm not as high on him, Nolan Smith is definitely a guy too that you guys can look at. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down below. If you guys like this top 5, if you guys have any questions or concerns, feel free to leave that down below as well. And my next position group should be linebacker, and I should be excited to drop that as well. So gonna keep you guys updated with all the NFL Combine news and rumors as well as we go into the weekend. So with that being said, I hope you guys have a good day, and as always, go Lions.